Hey everyone, my name is Michael, but you may know me better as Mikey Ruru from Reddit, Discord, and MTGO. And this is the first video in my new series where I explore the competitive Pauper metagame. And I'm calling the series Popular Decks because I love puns. And just want to remind you guys before I start anything, this is my first YouTube video ever, so there's probably going to be some hiccups along the way. And if you guys could give me some comments down below and let me know how to improve my videos, maybe my audio video quality. I really have no idea what I'm doing, so if you would do that, that'd be great. And if you want to see more content like this, hit the subscribe button. So some of you may have seen my post on Reddit and on Discord that I was going to be starting this series, and I asked everyone to vote on a deck, and everyone could vote on however many decks they wanted, and I was going to make the winner into a video series. So as you can see, I've got a nice SnowGo list pulled up because SnowGo won pretty handily. I think it had at least 10 more votes than the next closest, so that's a pretty big victory for it. So my list is credited to Beefy on Magic Online. He has a couple of 5-0s with this deck, or she, and I'm using the list from late December because that's the one I'm the most familiar with, though it looks like there's been some improvements to the deck since then. So to get started, one interesting thing you need to see about this deck is the mana base. So the biggest thing are the snow-covered lands. We've got a lot of snow-covered islands, and we've got some snow-covered mountains, and then we've got 1 swamp and 2 forests, and then a bunch of fetch lands. So you can imagine a deck like this with so many colors, we're going to need a lot of fetch lands to find our colors, but we also need a lot of snow lands, so we need to play basics because we're playing Skred. So Skred deals damage to a creature equal to the number of snow permanents you control. So the only snow permanents we have in our deck are these lands. Skred for a lot of the game is worse than lightning bolts or even flame slash, but late in the game it gets huge. So it's no problem to take out a Gurmag Angler with this card. No problem to take out an Ulamog's Crusher after turn 8. You can really take down some big stuff with this. So that's one of the big advantages it has over a card like Lightning Bolt or Flame Slash. So to round out our removal spells, we've got an Electrickery and a Magma Spray. Those are basically just targets for Mystical Teachings. Magma Spray takes out Young Wolf, it takes out Stormbound Geist, and Electrickery takes out all the tokens and boggles you could ever want. Next we've got our 12 card draw spells. Accumulated Knowledge is great, especially when you're playing with Teachings, and this deck is pretty mana hungry, so Think Twice ends up being a little too expensive sometimes. So we've got Accumulated Knowledge here. Brainstorm is much better in this deck than in a normal deck because we have so many fetch effects. We've got 8 ways to shuffle just with our lands, plus we've got 4 Teachings. So Mystical Teachings makes us shuffle, Ash Barrens, and Terramorphic Expanse gives us 12 total shuffle effects. We can really get rid of a lot of our junk. This is kind of the crazy part of the deck compared to a normal control deck. We've got 15 different counterspells. That's right, you heard it here first, 15 counterspells. That is a ton. So what's really ridiculous is we have this 4 copies of Rewind. So you might think a 4 mana counterspell is not viable in Pauper, and I would tend to agree with you, but it's really strong in this deck. You can rewind a big spell, and then you can also Mystical Teachings on the same turn right afterwards. So we've got a lot of cheaper counterspells too, and that's kind of how we get to Rewind. And one counterspell in this deck that a lot of other control decks don't play is Memory Lapse, because normally when you counter a spell you want it to go away, and Memory Lapse just puts it right on top. It really allows you to get up to Rewind mana while you're just stalling your opponents, rather than actually keeping them from resolving their spells. So you can really lock people out casting useless spells. Like, no matter what they cast, even if it's not something you care about, you can still Memory Lapse it to get a big tempo swing sometimes. Finally, we've got our 2 win conditions. We've got Sprout Swarm, which you can fetch out with Mystical Teachings, And then we've got Battlefield Scrounger. Make sure that you basically never can mill ever unless they are exiling your graveyard. This guy prevents you from ever milling. And then last but not least, we've got Pulse and Marasa. The most common use for this is the gain 6 life to get back an Ash Barrens or a Terramorphic Expanse early in the game. And then eventually, maybe on turn 20, we cast our Battlefield Scrounger, put it back in the deck, maybe we search it out again with Mystical Teachings to gain a big chunk of life. Alright, onto the sideboard. We've got the classic Hydroblast, Pyroblast package. Pretty standard for every blue or red deck. And then we've got kind of our archetype specific hate. We've got Ancient Grudge for affinity. We've got Serene Heart for Boggles and any other enchantment based deck. Electrickery for tokens, Delver, and Boggles again. We've got Capsize for some of the control decks, and then we've got 3 Spell Stutter sprites, which, remember, little known fact about Mystical Teachings is you can search out a Spell Stutter sprite because you can get any card that has Flash. So these guys are great against decks that play a lot of 1 toughness creatures. I bring them in. They're great against Boggles. They've got to run a guy into them a lot of the time, or they do on accident. And additionally, you can take out any of your dead cards and bring in Spell Stutter sprites. They're great against any deck that has a lot of 1-drops. Alright, so that's the whole deck. I want to remind you guys that, again, I need you guys to give me suggestions for improving my content, and if you guys enjoy what you're seeing, hit subscribe below. Thanks. Let's get to the games.